All right, I call the Accountant and Finance Committee meeting for January 9th to order. It's 5:45. First on the agenda is bus shop 2021 budget. It's hard to believe we're already talking about 2021.
Did you want one to follow?
So in your packet, you should have the handout from the bus shop, and that includes the items that we would like some discussion and clarity on. The first page, on page 2, details some of the salaries that we're looking at, and in the past, the town had,
Our page 2 is.
I apologize. Page 4 in your turnout, or handout.
Sorry.
I apologize for that. Yes, if you don't mind, thank you. And you can see in the bolded out in the red columns are the salaries that we're proposing for the bus shop. And the town a while back had passed a increase for their CDL drivers, so we're reflecting ours in the same way. We're going to bump everybody up to $14 an hour for the CDL drivers, and the top 3 are what we're guesstimating on our salaries. We're hoping to have a clearer idea maybe before the January meeting that maybe we can adjust and have by that time, but this is what we're expecting to see. So
If they put too little,
You can't go back.
you can't go back and give more.
Correct.
If the council
What's-
decides we're gonna give Josh 48,000, then you gotta cover.
So the bottom line is, how much extra is it gonna cost the town of Blackstone taxpayers is what everybody's gonna wanna know.
What's the difference from last?
Yeah, what's the difference is what, not just yours or Janet's or Mary Murphy's, but with taking everybody, because you've got some drivers going from $9 to 14.
But
So-
remember, those drivers all run different routes. That would be Dinwiddie's responsibility for that driver.
Correct.
We do have the drivers that are on the Blackstone route, would be all.
Well, that should,
yeah, the 11 by 17 page in your handout will cover that. The local match per line can be seen in that first 2 yellow columns at the top, but the overall total number is at the bottom there. The total town of Blackstone local match would be $38,086.54.
that's an increase from what typically?
Last year, we budgeted for, I believe it was 40% if I got the number correctly. If the actuals can be seen right there under FY 2019, and the actual local match for BAS was $29,603.02. And we didn't really have anything for Fast C because it wasn't.
So you're talking, it's a $9,000 increase, but that includes adding another bus route, which is Fast C.
Right, so that's Fort Pickett route and Blackstone with the increases. Mhm.
And, I mean, and that's actually, you look at the salaries that are on here for the top 3, that's not just strictly BAS. I mean, that's, so
Yeah.
we get more bang for our buck is what I'm trying to say. I mean,
Right. Mhm.
we're actually paying, because you do other stuff with Philip.
Periodically. Mhm. Yeah,
We
but
only, he's not 100% reimbursed by the state either because
Correct.
of that.
Yeah.
Were you 75 or 50?
75-25.
75%. Jennifer Beck was 50-50.
So on here, where it says that your salary will be the proposed amount, is that the full 100%? Or is that reflecting 75%?
the number all the way on the right, the 37,500, would be what's covered by the bus. That's 75% of the
Okay,
50.
so your total amount would be the 50?
Right.
Okay. I didn't want to have it out there that 50 was 75% of it, plus you get the town's 25% on top of that.
Correct.
Well, that is actually the case. It's 75% bus and then 25% town would be, the 50% is the total 100% number, and then this
Gotcha,
37,
gotcha.
yeah, okay. I apologize if that wasn't clear. The bus drivers though, the bottom half, or the majority of that sheet is 100% bus though, and that's split up between different lines, and you can see that on that 11 by 17 sheet. Well, it only has Fort Pickett and Blackstone, but if you look at the whole sheet with all the routes on it, you'll see those local matches too. They go up a little bit. It's not a drastic number from last year, just because we weren't expecting a whole lot in terms of the new funding method that they were using, but we actually came out really well on this year's budget. So
Everybody else is okay with the other transportation lines with the elevated numbers?
localities, we can't send out the fund request until y'all guys approve it first, because you're the governing board. So as soon as y'all guys approve it, we can send out the
Ever
request.
had anybody refute it and say, no, we're not doing it?
We asked for an increase from one of them last year, and they didn't give it to us. But
Would you
thankfully,
degrade their services, or?
If we can, once we know the number that the state gives us, we can then plug that into our spreadsheet and see what the local match is supposed to be. If it's under that, we're good. If it's above that, we'll have to let them know, hey, it's not gonna
Didn't we
cover.
reduce coverage at one point for somebody?
The, Nottaway County reduced it in, I think Janet mentioned it was 2014, I wanna say. They
I remember
cut
one
theirs
time they
back.
didn't pay it and then we reduced one of the routes.
Yeah, we cut a day of service out per week.
And I would say you probably would, a big increase to them, and you may be looking at, that could happen again.
Well, we're budgeting about 30% local match this year. It came out to roughly 25% once the state gave us our money. So we got about a 5% gap there from last year. So I'm not anticipating a drastic increase in local matches. I actually think what we've been asking will cover it.
Good.
I'm not too worried about that. Any specific questions that you guys have for me?
No.
That's okay. So that covers the salaries portion of it. The next section would be the capital items that we're looking at to improve the bus shop. One being the standard bus replacement.
What he's saying. No, it's the total is that. And then that's the 75%. 25% makes it up to that.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
okay.
You thinking you're making $88,000.
Oh no.
I was thinking, I was like, hold on, some of these other town workers are gonna come up to us.
Absolutely not. No. That's the
That's what
high
I was
number.
saying, I was like, hold on, what? Okay, now we can go on.
It would be nice, but no.
Gotcha.
The capital projects include one standard bus replacement. That's per state requirement. Once it meets the useful life, we can replace it. So we're going to do that. We're looking at some interior LED office lighting. Trying to bring some operating costs down with that, and that's in the cost of $5,800 we're estimating.
It would save us in the long run. I mean, you can probably, a year's time, you can probably make that back up.
Yeah, and the longevity of the lights too would actually be a huge benefit too. The exterior shop lights. The bus drivers have been weary of some nights because our ballpark light went out a little while ago and it was like pitch black out there, and so they're not too fond of having to go out there. You know, they get up at 5:15 in the morning to start the first run. So we are looking at installing some LED lightings across the front of the building and actually the rear too. So that we're estimating at a cost of $3,000.
Yeah, out of these, just, out of, let's say that $3,000, what is that paid for by the town of Blackstone as opposed to, or is that included in the budget where it's nothing for the town of Blackstone?
This will be a capital project that we're asking for in our grant, so that would be a 96-4 split. So the federal government and state will cover 96% of it, and we would have to cover 4% of that.
Keep coming up with projects like that. It'd be great.
We're trying. The next item on that would be bus shelters, and I had a separate handout for you guys for some photos of where we're looking at putting those.
That's which is, if we can get that kind of funding like you're talking, I mean, that's a heck of a project. What did Rotary pay for ours? Wasn't it $4,000
It's
something?
about 4,200 is what we paid for.
So if you
For the
can-
shelter, it's also $2,000 for the pad, so it's an expensive project. Yeah.
So no, I think it's needed. Plus, it will delineate as to where a bus stop truly is. Right now, where is a bus
Sign,
stop?
yeah,
You have a
so-
sign that gets lost because we have hundreds of other signs. So a shelter would be nice.
Yeah, and we're kind of targeting these around like high residency areas, like apartments. Obviously,
Yeah.
you know those are some of the biggest stops for us. So those photos kind of explain the area that we're looking at. I don't think we're going to have a huge issue, other than maybe one for Peel Manor is actually the place we're looking at, and where we usually pick up people is actually on their property. So we'd have to get with them on that.
The only one I see a problem with, I think we should need to take Nottaway Commons out.
Nottaway Manor.
Well, it says Nottaway Commons.
Yeah, that's a typo. My bad. It's
Okay.
Nottaway Manor.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw that picture in here.
Yes, that's
Right.
the apartment complex on Nottaway
Yeah, on
Avenue.
Nottaway Avenue.
So Nottaway Commons is not on there.
Okay.
As far as,
I
like,
saw that and I was like,
so.
we may not need to do anything there.
Yes. One issue or one question I did have for you guys. We're looking at one downtown, putting one somewhere downtown, and one area that came out to our mind was North Main and Tavern Street. So a little bit down from Classic Grill on the Source Tavern side.
You've already got a stop.
Yeah, you got one right there.
There's a stop sign there, but we're actually talking about putting a shelter there, if that's possible.
So it'd be on the town property, on the
Correct.
tavern corner. is what
Correct.
you're talking about.
But
like where the
there's
alley
one
is.
Less than 200 yards away.
At the
The
medical center.
Mhm.
Could we not go,
Down. what
Moving
about
farther down?
no, or go to, like the post office? I mean, is there a spot at the post office that we could get permission from, or?
I don't think that would be an issue.
Here, that-
What about the parking lot right there next to Farmers?
It's
Is
not
that-
ours.
That's
That's
not ours.
private, but the post office makes some good sense. You know how people used to fuss terrible about those first two spaces?
Correct,
Well, that'll be the way to get rid of people
correct.
parking in those first two spaces, because we put those little cones up and people take them down and
Yeah.
they get run.
Even if you put the shelter on, because we own the parking lot.
We own
The
the
town of Blackstone owns the parking
So
lot.
we could
there,
put
not
that
the building.
shelter right, so the bus could get in and that shelter be,
On the
in
first,
those
in the first parking spot, yeah.
do that.
Yeah, that would be good.
We would just have to look and make sure that that's actually on the route. I want to say that it is, but I need to double check
Good
that.
one.
It's I would think, I would hope it would be, being at the post office, but I mean, if not,
I'm pretty sure it is, but I'll get back to you on that for sure. I'm almost 99% sure, but that's just one thing. We're looking at somewhere downtown for one.
yeah, that's what And
I
that
thought
way you'd
before
have
we
one on
had-
each end, you'd have one on north and south maybe.
Right.
So,
hmm
It makes
Right.
good sense.
And these we're looking at are enclosed, so they will be able to fit about 5 to 6 people. It'll be 3 sides with 1 open side covered, basically exactly like the one the Rotary did. So
Is it handicap accessible?
they are. They are. They are have to be by law.
That's
So.
all, yeah, I'm sure.
Yep.
All right.
And the last item on that is the bus stop sign replacement. So we just got through with our rebranding. We have a brand new logo and everything. So we're looking at replacing all of our old signs with new ones. We're looking at about $2,000 for that.
That'd be good.
And that's about it for, other than the informational things that are in there, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Now, on these capital projects, are those, do we get matching funds for those at all, or those?
That'd be the 96.
The 96.
We pay 4%
Okay.
of the total. So, I mean, big projects like the LED office lighting project and the exterior, I mean, they're big, and that benefits us large amounts too,
We save a
so.
bunch of money on those antique streetlights when we put them in LED.
Yeah. So do you want us to recommend to council to approve the FY '21 budget?
Yes,
So
sir.
when you say '21 budget, that's what's starting in July
July 1.
this year?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, I'll make the motion to approve the bus shop budget for 2021 to council.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, thank you, Josh. We have on here treasurer accountability. Jennifer or Philip, whichever one. She's just gonna explain
Well, you had asked.
a refresher as to,
Yeah, at the last meeting, you had asked to kind of do a budget meeting, but I know we did the finance summit and, we didn't want to hold everybody up.
But it's important to know what that treasurer's accountability
Oh, yeah.
statement every month.
Yeah, so this is month ending November, because I'm still posting stuff to December. A lot of stuff is always done once, the month has to close and everything hits it, and bank reconciliations and such. So the top part, the assets, that's kind of like, your cash in the office, the cash in the treasurer's side for her cash drawers to do business. You got your Citizens General Bank account, the reserve account. We used to have a lot of different sub-accounts, that's why you'll see that there. It really can't go away till a certain amount of years, then the system will let it go away. Where we had separate fire apparatus,
the
Save
tree
the Army,
account.
right, and so I think last year we consolidated that, and we put that all in the reserve account. So then Philip and I have a spreadsheet that has the fire apparatus. So it's in one account, easier tracking, but we still
That's
have.
updated as each purchase is made, correct?
Yeah, we update that every
Once a
other,
week?
yeah,
In
once
case,
a week.
so we don't get, I mean, I remember back at, shoot, closer to when I got on council, we had people thinking that we were using fire apparatus money so you can actually go
You
and
can
look.
track
at
on that spreadsheet,
Okay.
all the pluses and minuses that we make.
All
Right, and so, and the auditors and Sheila said there was no need to keep them segregated like that. And I think you get a little bit more interest keeping it all in.
Let's say
that
it's all
way.
lump sum.
And then, you got your benchmark accounts that you see your VML VACO, but next month you'll see that they went away because they closed out at the end of December when you guys voted and we moved that.
Send it to
Right.
benchmark reserve CD.
You've got the benchmark reserve CD, which does reflect that additional 700 that we had put in there. We used to have a sewer reserve and a meter deposit reserve as well. Those are all lumped back up here into the Citizens Reserve account.
Gotcha.
So your total assets, what I highlighted in green, should match your total liabilities. And so the fund equity, all this money up here in the top, the assets, is then broken out into different funds. And that's kind of where we're coding expenses to, or when the money comes in for taxes, you know, it's all coded separately. You got your general fund, your weatherization fund. You guys should more than likely recognize all these funds.
And if you'll
Different-
notice, the balance of each is the same.
Right, so your total.
Assets and equity.
Yes, so your assets should match your liabilities and fund balance, your fund equity. So they should match and balance. Sometimes we're off. I had a $3.50 issue that I couldn't figure
That
out.
drove you crazy.
It did, it drove Sheila, that was a booger, but,
If you guys remember, and you probably do, and I don't mean to interrupt.
no,
that.
you're fine.
In 2011,
He's asking the
The bus fund.
bus transportation fund shows on an equity as, probably, is that just stuck in the?
well, that's the
General.
bus, right, so that's the bus fund. Up here in the assets, you know, the cash that Josh collects, his bus, his money and everything like that is still going into the citizens' bank account.
General.
general
account.
fund.
Right, so, but down here, it's accounted for in his fund. So the cash may be at the citizens' reserve account, but he's spending it.
So you're just breaking it down and showing, I see what you're doing, yeah. Which
It is broken down further into federal and state, but that's not printed on here. This is just your assets and your equity. There is a separate line because the auditors are very strict on what is state funds and what is federal, and that's broken down even further. I didn't print all that off.
You remember.
You want it-
So that money that's on there, it says bus transportation fund, $232,000 as of the 30th of November.
Right.
Where did that actual cash come from? Did they give us that in a lump sum, each budget they give it to us?
There should have been about $118,000 at one time.
And then we do a monthly draw of
Correct.
$18,000.
Gotcha. So I'm surprised they give you a lump sum.
And then
The
anytime,
state does, the federal government doesn't. The
Okay.
federal government can do monthly.
right, and then anytime he sells a bus and whatnot, he keeps that in his reserve, but that will still roll into
Correct.
his beginning fund balance for the next year, so.
Gotcha.
Any match for
Right.
any bus that we buy,
Comes,
we've got a pretty good chunk of money in there,
Yeah.
about $50,000, $60,000, something like that in there. And so say we gotta come up with $6,000 for the local match, not just Blackstone, but Dinwiddie, Brunswick, everybody. Our match is already covered, just take it out of that cash box, so we don't have to take it out of taxpayer funds.
Correct.
But I was gonna say, in 2011, if you remember, there was a big headline in the paper, $1 million unaccounted for. Remember that? What it was is there was $1 million difference in the equities and assets.
From where?
Equities and assets, it wasn't balancing.
Right.
So the issue was, this is what you got, assets, this is what you're supposed to have. And there was an imbalance between the two, and that was the problem. That's where that million, not that anybody stole it, but they were just. the
It wasn't
numbers
being
weren't-
accounted for.
wasn't accounted for in
Right.
the correct
It
location.
wasn't coming out, and so the balance of assets and equities weren't equal.
Gotcha.
That's what the problem is.
And this report can be 60 pages if we wanted to. I
Correct.
just ran it for, this is kind of a condensed.
Yeah, the one in the packet is normally longer.
Well, the one in the packet includes this, but then it also includes the detailed expense reports where it'll break down, it'll tell you, like, for example, Josh's bus line, how much has he spent on communications for that month? And he's got 98% left in the budget. That one, has it broken out to the side, but it
Revenue
is thick.
Okay.
It looks just, Bright
It looks-
reporting is very mundane and it's
Oh,
very
it
hard
is.
to, and that's why I always convert y'all stuff, cause it'll just run together and it's 3 different reports.
It most definitely does.
Okay?
So the easiest thing for me to look at, because I'm not an accountant, I focus on those assets.
Yeah.
The equities are the funds, that's where she and Sheila and putting things where they're supposed to be.
You don't care about exactly the fund it comes from, you wanna know the
I
top
don't know how
line.
much cash we got sitting available to pay these bills. I focus on the assets. The equities are more an accounting function. an
Gotcha,
accounting
I see.
role, putting the beans in the correct column.
Alright.
So, when we sit back and,
And then
let me see real quick, and I'm just touch on a couple things again. Ugh, I need glasses here. Back to the treasurer's accountability side of things. If you look at these different items, and we sit back and say reserves, okay? It's 2.7 plus the $1 million that we have in the VML Vega that has now been rolled over, not including cemetery. That 236 in cemetery, that's your perpetual care fund.
Correct.
Can't
That we
spend the
can't
principal.
touch anyway.
We can spend the interest, but you can't touch the principal.
When we spend it, that's where it should be going to pay our cemetery workers.
No. When we sell a grave, okay, $400, we take $40, which is 10%, and we stick it here. We really decide, I don't know how often you make the contribution, but it's in a CD, so we don't do it on a real regular basis. $40 goes there, $360 goes into a separate operating fund, okay, which is it's in our, this 2.2.
Cemetery operating, yeah.
And that's about $68,000, thereabouts. So we take 360 and put it in operating, we pay winter salary, and we take a draw on it every year in the budget, I don't know, $15,000, $12,000, we take a draw, which doesn't, and it tells you, we spend a lot more than $12,000 raking leaves and cutting grass and doing all that kind of stuff, so the cemetery is on a perpetual state of rest.
Yeah, and it won't come out. There's nothing you can do over there to make it be.
I don't think you can raise the price of those lots
No,
enough to
you
pay
never.
2 guys to go over and cut grass and rake leaves. All right, but the true undesignated reserve would be that.
Plus the VML Baker.
If I'm not mistaken, did I get that right?
Right, because
Not the
that,
cemetery.
that citizens reserve has
Water,
all
sewer, and
those
electric.
sub-accounts, you know, the fire
Well,
apparatus.
You say
and-
undesignated. Well, when you talk, the water and sewer reserves, I mean, technically that's for those departments though, correct?
I can't say they're specific for those departments, but when we did the calculation, the general fund is a 15% calculation of general fund. Basic, easy way to do it is we got a $14 million budget, half is general fund, and roughly half is electric, water, and sewer, okay? So 15% of 7,
Which, as we're learning, water and sewer fund is needed a lot
oh yeah.
in replacing water lines like, what is it, gonna be $100,000 for that 2 blocks on Lunenburg Avenue?
We've saved up half of it, but we still
Yeah.
got some more saving to do. That money is set aside for emergency purposes. And if it all had to be used in the electric department, so be it, if we had a big power outage, an ice storm or whatever. But the 3.7 calculation came from general fund 15% of the general fund. The electric fund was 4 months of your total, 4 months of your operating. So we're about $4 million, $4.2 million. A third of that basically is how much is set aside for electric. And then if you look at the water and sewer, it was 6 months of operating. That's where we came up with the number. So if you break it out again, water and sewer fund should be equivalent of 1.2 million. General fund, about $1 million, it's really $1,050,000. And then the difference between 3.7 and the two added together would be assigned to electric, and I think that's $1.5 million. Okay. Now, we're not making any more, we're done with that.
Yeah.
We don't have to fool with that anymore. And if you look at those items that are in the Citizens Bank and Trust money market account where it says reserves, those are monies that, for example, we save for fire trucks. That, for example, we save to pave roads because we get a quarterly VDOT payment. So we pay ourselves back for the street department expenses, and then the difference of the residual we leave back in there. So that is more earmarked because that's more for capital projects. We keep money in there from the loan pool for downtown is in there, okay? The bus money where we sold buses is in there, okay? So those are more earmarked for either specific projects or things like, for example, the police department got a $25,000 donation. Remember that?
Yeah.
We stuck it in that account, okay? And so we know when they code a bill and they say they want to pay for it out of donation money, we make a reduction in the money market account, put it in the check, and then we can cut it. So that's why we don't keep that money in a CD, because we're moving it on a real regular basis,
It's fluid.
at least once a week. All right.
Alrighty, go to the budget calendar.
I think Jennifer's got a budget calendar in here for you to look at. I don't know if you have to vote on it tonight, but if you see something that's immediately gonna cause you any great consternation, if you have vacation plans or any of those kind of things.
The only
let us
thing
know.
I saw that was a little funky is the 1st of June is on a Monday. So I don't believe we'll have FEMA numbers in time. Usually we try to do a public hearing
Yeah.
on the regular
You have
council
to have
meeting,
2
but we won't
weeks.
have enough time to advertise, so we're gonna have, and I put the notes on there.
We have to, and remember the auditor gigged us, we advertise it in the ad in the paper.
It's gotta be 2 full weeks.
It's gotta be 7 days prior, and because we advertise on a Wednesday, and I think we met on a Monday, that was only 5 days, so.
So it's looking like June, by the time we get FEMA figures, we're gonna have to have a special call meeting to do a public hearing for the budget, and then you get what and I did the notes at the end for that, but.
13th is a Friday.
Sure, we'll do that on Friday the 13th.
Yeah, let me see.
Oh,
Sorry. I got this one.
That's a pretty benign
Give it
meeting
over.
when we meet with those. I mean, we just,
Which one was that? I meant to do it
The
Thursday. I don't wanna do it.
committee meets
I'd rather it be a Thursday.
with department heads. When Dan and them just come up and
Yeah,
say,
yeah, you know, I meant to do it Thursday, so I'll
Okay,
do
March
that.
12th.
Yes. Now that, do you guys agree to do this department head meeting during the day, so employees don't have to come? Are you okay, Tom, on Thursday, okay?
I mean, it's not that long.
So I have to do overtime and all that work.
When we meet with them, we just, I think we were
Yeah,
here last year. We
I
don't,
remember.
they just present it to us. We don't discuss it, say, all right, well, we're gonna do this and we're not gonna do that. So,
So if you guys are okay with this, we may put that in
Put
the
it in the
council
packet,
packet,
yeah.
so we can make it official. and then-
that's fine.
And of course, we change it and amend it throughout.
Correct, yeah, I mean, and May 7th may be changed to May 9th or something. I mean,
Correct.
that's, yep, that's fine. We don't need to vote on that unless you want to.
We'll get a copy of Sheila.
Yeah, so.
Just if y'all, like you said, anything, vacations or anything, we gotta.
All right.
All good?
Yep.
All right, so I don't chat very long. Capital projects are ongoing. As you guys know, we're working on the sidewalks and things and street lights over by the basketball courts and the baseball field. The cash portion, the town's match is already in place. It's in that money market account, and we'll make draws on that as we need to. And then the grant money will pay the majority of it. We've got that money already set aside. It looks like to me I'm gonna have to put off South Main Street, which isn't hurting anybody, from 6th Street to 10th Street. I may have to put that off till 2021.
Yeah, I mean, that's a drainage project.
It's a
not
drainage project.
The only thing, just make sure, right there in front of Blackstone Professional Center, Jerome's building,
Like new curb and gutter.
well, no, but it just, there's a hole in the
Oh, that's,
pavement
that's
there.
going away. Part of the
Well, I
reason,
know, but is it gonna hurt to have that there until, is it safe to keep driving over?
as far as I know, yeah, I don't have a reason to believe it's not, but it's not ideal. They took a jackhammer and busted into the top of the gutter pan
You can
for the
actually
water
see down the
access.
ground
There's
where
not a
it's like
proper
Where's that?
grate.
In front of Prater's office, but on the opposite
Oh,
side.
okay.
If you look over there, there's a-
I saw the,
There's actually a hole that you can look down and you're like, oh.
Holy smokes,
What's that
what is
good?
that? It's not ideal. But it looks like we may have to, the original plan was, because from approximately that point, that water turns at a 45-degree angle and goes into that ditch next to Rick's Auto. They've come back and said, it's not in terrible condition, and it can stay, it's not collapsing, but we need to make it bigger. And the problem with making it bigger is not enough cover. They try to do elliptical pipe, and it's not gonna be enough cover to do it. So
The
they're,
plan was to run it straight across and then run it through.
they're proposing then to leave that pipe in place and then continue south from that point over to basically the church parking lot and then turn it and go in. And that pipe is in horrible condition. It's a corrugated metal pipe and the bottom's rusted out of it. That one needs to come out. So we're gonna, instead of having one pipe doing it, we're gonna have 2 pipes.
That's not a project that concerns me as to aesthetics or looks in town as if we were to put it off another year.
We'll survive it. Okay, so it looks like 2021. I expected to do it in 2020. VDOT is requires we do it no later than 2021. So we have
long
a
as you don't lose
schedule, and
the
2021 is the year they're expecting to do it. We were hoping to do it a year ahead of time, so we'll be a little bit behind on that. And I don't know. Probably a building and grounds discussion, but we're doing some asbestos sampling at the old school buildings now. So I don't have a formal number, but there is asbestos in them. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you can walk in there and look at those tiles and tell what they are. But he'll be back next week to get in the crawl spaces and make sure he's not missing any pipe and insulation that he can't see easily.
All right.
Cash is good. We do end of the year, calendar year in good shape. We've made contributions towards fire trucks. We've made contributions toward Dan's digger derrick truck. And Eric knows this, but all the money from the pole attachment fees for last year have been received. One of them, I can't remember which one, it was CenturyLink wanted a GPS point for each pole, so Dan and the guys had to do that, but everybody's paid up and then we'll do it again.
And that's what's paying for the digger derrick truck.
We put that towards the digger
Which
derrick.
rightfully so, pole attachment fee, I mean, it actually needs to go into depreciation for the poles themselves, because there's many of poles in Blackstone that it's not gonna be long before we have to just start replacing them.
And that money, the digger derrick, is saved in that money market
For that,
reserve
yeah.
fund right
Which I'm glad we finally are getting money for that. We shouldn't have gotten that 6 years ago.
there. I didn't know it would go as smooth as it did, I'll be honest with you. I thought it was gonna be much more of an issue, but
What is the actual total? Do you have a total?
42,000 and change.
Well,
There was one payment of 20 and one of 22.
we not only, yeah, because we get CenturyLink and Shintel, so we actually get two different companies, so.
And I had quite a time collecting ones, and I talked to Tessie about possibly putting some late fee verbiage in there, but we said that we were gonna let it go and just maybe next year go smoother and people
Yeah.
pay on time.
Yeah, that's one of those things. It's not like you want to push it too hard,
Right, yeah.
We'll talk
as
about
long as you get paid.
Mhm.
Last item, we met last week with Christy Hudson, Commissioner of Revenue, and Tom, on his own volition, came to Town Hall and had not received a personal property tax bill. So everybody knows, it wasn't just Tom, there's more on that particular road that you live on, and the book that the county sends us, we just send the tax tickets out that they send us, didn't have Beach Cliff Road. There's several people, so, yeah, after the 27th, I want to let the whole council know. It wasn't Tom, I promise.
You're not allowed to even be up here.
Yeah, so what we want to make sure is that the whole council knows, but there'll be some rebilling done for there, and I think
Like
maybe
that whole-
It's not gonna be retroactive.
Is it the
we're
whole
entitled to
street?
go back 3 years, and that's why we're not sending the bill out until we talk to council and see if that's what y'all want to
Is
do.
it the whole street down Beach Cliff?
Yep. I wouldn't say it's every house, but certainly the beginning and the end are both included in that. And I think there may be one on 10th Street and maybe a couple more on College. And they paid and were billed through 16 and 17, but the last couple of years they just didn't get billed.
How does that happen? If
Yeah, I mean, how many others are in
if everything's
Blackstone?
coming out of the DMV anyway?
I think it's, so like Brittany bills whatever Nottaway sends down,
Mhm.
and I don't know if it's when Christie took over and there was transition and then Brittany took over, but something, I think it was something with the book. I bet that book that holds Beach Cliff at Nottaway just was left out of our portion, you know, because Christie separates out Crew and Blackstone and sends it to them, and that's how they generate their bills.
Because everybody should have gotten a county bill. I assume you got a county bill,
So she's
but
got
no
them
town.
all,
So when it
just
came
didn't
over,
get
it didn't have that code that would have picked it up. So needless to say, when you came to me and we talked about it, we went back and checked, we met with
He asked
Christie.
me during one meeting, he goes, "You got your town tax bill?" I said, "I think I have." He said, "I ain't got any."
I would say there's a dozen homes. So we can go back 3 years retroactive. She's got the bills prepared that way. But I asked Brittany to hold off until we let you guys know, so you don't get the phone call, or you get the phone call and say, what is this? Holy smoke. So eyes wide open, everybody will know what's up.
I mean, we'll talk about the council, the full council, but obviously, if it's, needs to be, if we go forth and say that it all needs to be paid, if it is, it needs to all be, we need to allow payments,
Oh, yeah.
not just, oh, we gotta have it in by such and such date. It needs to work with them, the customers, because it wasn't their fault.
You're not proposing to lend money to anybody.
No.
All right. and come up with a payment plan, but I don't think it's huge amounts. We're pretty low on the tax.
No, I mean, your real estate tax
But
revenues.
since it's personal property, you probably didn't make much difference on any stops or any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't wanna hang up anybody's driver's license renewal.
Yeah, especially when it's, again, it's not those people's fault that they didn't get a bill.
It's not their fault, they didn't get a bid.
It was a error in the book, so.
Yeah.
So, sorry about that, but when you brought my attention, we checked it out, and there's probably a dozen.
Good job.
All right.
All right, we will, anything else? No.
Tom has paid his taxes,
Yes, I
just so
have.
you know. Tom has paid his taxes. Let the record reflect, he has.
We will adjourn the meeting at 6:20. Thank y'all.